This is an initial permanency hearing. If the parties identify themselves for the record, starting with the department.
Anna Horde, Hockley County Attorney, here on behalf of the department.
Anna
Ricker.
Sorry. Lori Smith, Supervisor.
Amber Rosette, Permanency Specialist.
And go ahead, Ms. Ricker.
Anna Ricker for Father Kent Beverly.
And we just lost Mr. Moore, but he is here. I'm thinking he'll be coming right back. And he is here for Margaret Beverly, Ms. Long.
Haley Long, Attorney for the children.
And then we have placement here as well. Kelly Beverly, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in an abundance of caution, just the babies are with you, not Jack.
Jack is not with me.
Okay, thank you.
He's at daycare. Jack is at
All
daycare.
right.
Mike is here beside me, though, the grandfather.
All right. Grandfather, sure.
We're on the same screen.
All right, thank you. And there's Mr. Moore back.
Sorry about that, Judge. Having internet issues. Jim Moore, attorney for Meg Beverly, responded mother.
All right, Ms. Beverly is not trying to join, is that correct?
No, ma'am, she should be trying to join. I actually sent her that Zoom link just a second ago, so she should be in the waiting room.
All right, I'll watch for her. Is there any reason she'd be under somebody else's name on her device?
No, ma'am, I don't think so, but I'll confirm with her.
All right. Okay, so we'll talk about the kids first today. Jack is 4 and he's in good health. He goes to daycare. He's a big helper with the babies, reportedly. He has started play therapy and he is placed with his brothers in his parents' home, but under the care of his grandparents who are here on screen. And then Miles is 7 months and William is 7 months, and they are doing okay, especially William. He is learning to roll over and to crawl, and he did not have the flu, apparently. He did not have the stomach troubles that Miles had. In March, Miles had flu and or stomach troubles and hospitalization. So my first question, Ms. Rosette, was he actually hospitalized 3 times or he had 3 ER visits?
He was hospitalized.
He was hospitalized. And then towards the end, they were working on tummy issues and reflux and okay.
Yes,
And then I read, I think it was Ms. Long's report also that indicated that the anti-seizure medications also cause nausea. And so with additional medication, he can keep the seizure medicines down better. I guess that may be an inarticulate way to put it, but Kelly Beverly, is that right? Is he able to keep his medicine down?
Yes, Dr. Brinker prescribed him, his primary care physician prescribed him Zofran for nausea, and that has seemed to help.
Okay, all right, good. Now, Miles also has ECI and many doctor's appointments. He will experience significant developmental delays, which will have to be addressed as he goes along. He has a helmet for 23 hours a day that he wears. Of course, the seizure medications, hand braces. So he's just got a lot going on, but according to the reports, he is well cared for and all of his medical is attended to by his grandparents, as are Williams and Jack's as they have need. Ms. Rosette, tell me anything else I need to know about the kids.
They're all doing, wonderful. The caregivers do take care of them. I do go to all of, Miles's medical appointments, and we do give the medical reports to all parties. He did have a dentist appointment in April. They said no concerns. He was just, they just felt his gums. His gums look good. He does have some upcoming medical. On April 25th, he had a weight check. May 8th, he'll go back to the hematologist. May 15th is the neurosurgeon. And May 30th, he'll have another weight check. June 28th will be his 9-month well check. August 21st, he'll go to see the neurologist. And then October 19th is the ophthalmologist. And then back again on the October 25th will be the dentist appointments.
Okay. And he's been to the ophthalmologist already this spring for a check.
Yes,
okay. All right. Very good. Tell me about parents' progress in their services, please. You can start with Ms. Beverly.
Miss Beverly, yes, ma'am. She is participating in weekly therapy with Cynthia Bowen Burns. Going good. She does attend her visitations, which are Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for 2 hours. Prior to the status hearing, after the status hearing, we were letting the grandparents stay in visitation. But we had now had asked them to leave visitation just so that the parents can have more interactions with the boys, which they have done. The parents do interact with the boys a lot more. They do a teamwork. They really are, the visits are really going well.
Okay. And I saw also in your report, I think that Ms. Beverly completed a lot of parenting classes.
Yes, ma'am. Both of the parents have. Yes, ma'am.
It caught my eye because she did one out of order for, what was it, new drivers, parenting your new driver. And I thought, yeah, you might as well. You'll need that information eventually. All right. And then for Mr. Beverly, what has he completed?
He's also completed all of the parenting classes. Meg's completed. He does go to therapy with Peggy Skinner. He is going weekly, doing well in therapy. He does attend visits, the same as Meg, interacts with all 3 children, and they do, visits are going well with him as well.
All right. Remind me, is either parent to complete anger management, or that will be accomplished through individual therapy?
Yes, ma'am, through therapy.
All right, Mr. Moore.
So, Judge, I agree with this. What Ms. Rosette said. We're fully engaged in services at this point. We're getting visitation notes from every visit. I appreciate St. Francis letting us have those reflecting that there are no concerns at any of the visits. Those are all going very well. Our main concern right now is getting more visits, and especially with Jack, we're concerned about him deteriorating due to not seeing his parents as much. So I understand he's having a hard time, and so the last time we talked with St. Francis, they were going to talk about doing some play therapy or seeing about getting him engaged in therapy to address that. And obviously, we'd like some more time with him. And at this point, would ask the court to allow the family members to supervise those visits.
Ms. Rosette, when did play therapy start for Jack?
Diana Lorero, she had just started that back in 2 Saturdays ago, and she's going to go back out there again this Saturday.
Okay. What is the department, St. Francis's position on additional visits and supervision by family?
At this point, we are not recommending, or we are not in support of additional visits. They're already visiting 4 nights a week and Saturdays. Also, as far as the grandparents supervising, we are not comfortable with that either. If that's something to be considered, we would request a hearing.
All right, I will get back to your request, Mr. Moore, after I hear from everybody. Is there anything else?
I just was going to throw in there. I did talk to Cynthia Bowen Burns about her recommendations for visitation. She's requesting the visitation notes. And so I'll just request that those be sent to her as well.
I have sent those to her.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ricker.
Well, I echo everything that's been said so far, of course. I do have a letter of recommendation that was sent apparently to CPS and from Dr. Skinner that she's also asking for the grandparents to supervise the visitation. So to allow more time for bonding with the twins. And so I think at some point we probably need to visit that issue in greater detail. I understand today's not the date for that, but my understanding is both therapists are recommending that.
Ms. Long, thank you for filing ad litem statement in compliance. It was a long statement and very detailed, given the court valuable information. Are there any particular points in that report that you want to address? And if you would also address the request that families supervise visitation?
I'm not in favor of the grandparents supervising visitation at this point. I do have concerns about their protective capacities. There was an incident that happened yesterday while I was trying to visit with the children and get information from the grandmother, where the grandfather did start yelling at the grandmother not to talk to me, to plead the fifth. And grandmother was trying to calm them down and explain that, you know, she had to talk to me, that I was entitled to get information from the kids, but he just kept yelling. It got to the point where he started yelling at me, telling me that I was the same as CPS and that we were all idiots. It was a very heated, it was a very heated interaction. And so I did let them know that I would be letting the court know, and I hung up. Miss Beverly did call me back. She did apologize. Mr. Beverly did also apologize. They both said that, you know, they're at their wits' end with all of this. They're exhausted. You know, he had been coming off of a night of not really having sleep from staying up all night, you know, feeding the kids. But I still don't think that that was an appropriate interaction to have at all. And I don't know if Jack was still in the room when that happened, but I mean, the yelling was so loud that I'm concerned that he might have overheard it. But, you know, he made it very clear that they're fed up with everything that's going on with CPS, and it just concerns me for their protective capacity to supervise visits at this time. That's my position on that. I do say though that, you know, they do take excellent care of the children. They make sure that all of their medical needs, as detailed as they are met and taken care of, and all of the follow-ups and everything. And they've sacrificed a lot to keep the kids in their, you know, current routine as much as they can. I just can't agree to them supervising visits at this time.
Ms. Ricker, Mr. Moore, are there other family members that you've offered as helpers?
Well, we have the other set of grandparents, but they're not as on site. And I do know, I think Meg has a brother that is available, but he's not here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember where he's from, but it's not local.
Okay. What does the department or St. Francis feel would help placement and keep the placement? I don't want any changes for the kids, but I also don't want them exposed to anger and exhaustion.
What if we were, and I'm sorry to interrupt, that question wasn't directed at me, but what if we were to find a respite caregiver that the department could live with and the family could live with, and maybe put forth that proposal? And that's something new that we haven't talked about, but it's an idea.
Yes.
That
yes.
maybe could be a supervisor.
Or stay up at night and give bottles, you know, a couple of times a week. Sleep is important, makes everything different. Yes, Ms. Ricker, if you and Mr. Moore would submit that. And then Ms. Smith, did you want to answer the original question?
Yes, I do believe that they do have backup caregivers that we could ask that maybe could come into the home and relieve them. That is one of the reasons during the visits that we are doing 4 days a week, 2 hours each visit, that we asked the grandparents to leave the room or leave the house and go have some me time, go take a nap, go do whatever they need to, so that they could get some alone time and me time and a break. So that is one of the reasons why we were not recommending that they supervise the visits. And also the parents seem to interact and care for the children more. Initially, there were concerns because grandparents tended to be the ones to care for the kids. But once they left the visits, the parents have done wonderful.
It's hard for everybody to know their place. Who's who. Okay. Ms. Horde, as you request a hearing, if there's going to be any additional visitation or changes in the visits, I'm going to leave that for a hearing date. If anyone wants that issue brought to a hearing, then we will set it for you. And with the items recommendation against it, I would need testimony to change the visitation at this point. Ms. Horde, could you give me an update on the status of the criminal case?
I have not heard one way or the other, Judge, on it. I haven't seen a no bill, but I haven't seen an indictment either, Judge.
All right, I'm going to set final hearing in this case. It will be September 25th at 9 a.m. At this time, that's scheduled to be a virtual proceeding because we don't have courtroom availability. There are other jury cases going forward in Hockley County that date. If there is a motion for continuance or reset and the desire to be in person, certainly we will reschedule and get a different date. I am finding at this time that the children's placement with concerns is safe and stable and meeting their needs. The department is continued as temporary managing conservator. I am finding that the children cannot yet be returned to the care of a parent. Is there anything else we need to take up today?
As a matter of housekeeping, I just got handed a note that Kent was in the waiting room. I don't know if he shows up with a proper label or you can watch it on YouTube. It'll be all right.
Okay. Yeah, have him check, make sure his name comes up because there's a couple of names I don't know, but I think think everybody is pretty much known to the court. He's not in there.
Okay. Well, I'll check with him. It'll be all right.
Okay. All right. Ms. Beverly, you're the one here, so you get the warning, but I am required to warn you at each hearing that your parental rights and duties are subject to termination or restriction. You can't provide a safe and stable environment for these children.
Lori Smith, supervisor.
Megan Villarreal, caseworker, permanency specialist.
Ms. Criswell?
Brandy Criswell, attorney for respondent mother, Heather Whitehead. My client is present in my office as well, Your Honor.
Ms. Merle?
Jennifer Merle, attorney for father, present and ready.
Ms. Duffy?
Christina Westeffi, I represent Brandy Garcia, father.
And he's not present. I don't think Mr. Diaz and Mr. Garcia are present. Is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Trevino?
Judge, I don't have the Whitehead. Is this the Whitehead case? I don't have that on my docket.
Okay. Well, I didn't have that on my list. I thought I was here for Delgado, so I'm completely unprepared for Whitehead.
Well, an honest response is acceptable.
But Liza Trevino, attorney and guardian ad litem for the child.
All right. And I don't see placement. I was looking in the waiting room for them. I don't believe they are. All right. So Zayden is 5 months old, same placement with kinship in Hockley County, happy and healthy and doing very well. I could not remember how they were related. Is it grandparents, Ms. Villarreal?
Yes, paternal grandparents.
Paternal grandparents. What else about Zayden?
Zayden's doing well. He's a happy, healthy baby. He eats well. He sleeps well. There's no concern with him. He's doing good. He's growing on. He appears to be on target. He's not been referred to ECI from his pediatrician. He's doing well.
Okay. And tell me about participation in services by Ms. Whitehead.
Mrs. Whitehead is engaged in services. She maintains contact with me. She is currently employed with Spark, but she's seeking stable employment. She resides with a relative in Levelland, and she is seeking housing on her own as well. She has visits on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. supervised by St. Francis, and these are reported to be appropriate visits. Drug testing, she had a negative UA on April 25th. She has not completed an OSAR, but we are working on getting that scheduled. She did check into Serenity inpatient, but checked herself out. She is in a AA meeting that I have provided her with sign-in sheets so she can get those to me. I haven't had verification. She's reported that she's attending. She is in therapy with Richard Gatlin, and I have spoke with him about this. She's been engaged in therapy. She did have to cancel due to a blowout on her vehicle, on her tire, but she's gotten rescheduled on that. And we are also working on getting her rescheduled for her psychological evaluation.
Okay. Do you have contact with Eric Diaz?
I do not. No, ma'am.
Do you have contact with Brandy Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
And is he working his program?
He has maintained contact with me. I did verify that he is employed. He has his own residence in Levelland. He was attending visits on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., but due to his new employment, those are going to be scheduled on Mondays from 5 to 7, supervised by St. Francis. He did complete a psychological evaluation on February 13th, 2023. He is not engaged in counseling at the time. He has attended 2 out of 4 scheduled, and he no-showed his last on March 29th and has not rescheduled. He reports he's attending parenting classes online, but I've not received certificates for that. He completed an OSAR assessment on January 20th and was referred to Padre, but he's not provided any certifications or verification of attendance. He reports he's also attending a substance abuse class online, but has not provided verification of that. I sent him for a drug test on April 27th. He said he couldn't go due to work, so I told him he could go on April 28th, but I did verify that he did no show.
Genetic testing. Ms. Horde, sort me out. The March 23rd order was the 3rd order for genetic testing. Was that testing for Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So has he submitted to genetic testing?
I don't know. Ms. Villarreal.
Yes, ma'am. He was supposed to attend on April 24th, but due to starting his new job, he couldn't go. So we did get him rescheduled for this Friday, May 5th at 2:30 p.m.
Okay. Well, from March to April, from March 23rd to April 24th, were there other appointments that were scheduled for him that he missed?
I got this case the beginning of April, but my understanding is that there was issues getting it scheduled through the Attorney General's office due to the acknowledgement of paternity being signed.
Okay. All right. Then Ms. Criswell.
Yes, Judge. I believe that is correct. The AG, we ended up with like a third amended order for genetic testing because there had been an AOP and they wanted grounds for basically testing, even though that existed. Just to give the court a little bit of background, my client was awarded a protective order, a final protective order against Brandy Garcia last month. I've provided a copy of that to St. Francis. My client was attending AA-NA meetings locally and had a sign-in log I had given her. She does not have possession of that anymore. That was being kept in Mr. Garcia's vehicle. And obviously there's no contact with Mr. Garcia at this point. My client does plan to attend the substance abuse group that Dr. Gatlin hosts, but we would like for St. Francis to first verify that Mr. Garcia will not be present for those sessions that my client would be present for. And then on the genetic testing, if Mr. Garcia does not submit to the genetic testing this week, I've conferred with my client and we're going to file a separate suit to void that acknowledgement of paternity, as my client was under extreme duress at the time that she signed it. And she tells me it is an impossibility for Mr. Garcia to be the biological father of this child.
Okay, very good.
The only other issues, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The only other issues are with setting up some of the services, and I believe that Megan is helping her with those now with the OSAR and the psychological due to the domestic violence incidents with Mr. Garcia. My client changed her phone number and contact information, so everything kind of went back to square one, but I think that's all in the works now. And then our only other issue is my client's father has an approved home study, and he was being allowed to have the child on weekends. He is no longer being, and during that time, he was supervising my client's visitation with the child on weekends. The only guide, this is before Miss Villarreal, this was back when Becky Hernandez was the worker. Ms. Hernandez informed my client that those visits were being discontinued, so her father's not getting these weekend visits with the child anymore. I would like those reinstated. If we can't do that, reinstated and reinstate him supervising my client's visitation, and then I plan to file some kind of motion to get that reinstated. But I didn't know if that was something we could agree to here today.
What was the reason stated for the, if you know?
Yes, according to Ms. Hernandez, there was allegedly an altercation between my client's father and Mr. Garcia at a convenience store here in Levelland. I've requested police records to see if there are any from then, but I haven't received them yet. I've been told I'll get them by Friday. My client's father denies there was an altercation, anything physical. And I would argue that even if there was, what difference does it make? Nobody's been arrested. The child was not present, and the child wasn't in either one of their care at that point in time. Ms. Hernandez also alleged that my client had spent the night at her father's house while the child was there, and that was simply not true. My client and her father deny that she ever spent the night there while the child was there. She does not live in that home. Ms. Hernandez also said that they violated some alleged safety plan by her not being there some set amount of time and being there longer than they said. But I've never been provided that safety plan despite having requested it several times. And I have seen texts from Ms. Hernandez to my client's father stating that he can supervise her visits, but not giving any specifics on a time frame.
So Ms. Smith or Ms. Villarreal, either one, would you address that?
I'm going to let Ms. Villarreal talk about the safety plan. I think she may know a little more detail than I do.
My understanding from the safety plan was that she just could not be unsupervised. And talking to Heather, she understood she could be there at any point in time, just not overnights. But she didn't believe that there was a set time frame.
and I've not seen the safety plan. I would like a copy of it, but the text messages that I saw between Ms. Hernandez and my client's father did not indicate any time frame. And my client was only ever there during daytime hours. So we would like for her father's weekend visits with the child to be reinstated and for him to be allowed to supervise my client's contact on the weekends. If St. Francis wants to put into place specific hours that my client can visit at her father's home, my client's more than willing to comply with that. But it is a huge step back to go from seeing the child the majority of the day, every single weekend on Saturday and Sunday, to seeing the child for 2 hours once a week, supervised by St. Francis.
I think we could revise that. We'll do a new safety plan with him, and we will put specific days, times, and hours that those visits will take place.
That would be perfect. Thank you.
I don't have much to add. I believe Mr. Garcia is actually working with the department or with St. Francis at this time. I would request just to confirm with Megan his information. Last time we reached out by phone, it wasn't accepting phone calls, so we've just been texting and hoping that that's going through. But I can confirm with Megan after.
I can email you the phone number I have for him.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Trevino, I know you indicated you weren't ready for the hearing, but is there anything that you wanted to add today?
No, I mean, I don't know when it changed from Whitehead to Garcia, if the paternity testing hadn't even been done yet. Everything I have still says Whitehead, but I did last reach out to Martha, the grandmother who has placement, on March 28th. She's not really that talkative. She just, will answer my questions really quick, like, yes, he's fine. And so, I mean, I was just waiting to see what was going to happen with paternity testing, because I don't know if he doesn't turn out to be the father, what's going to happen with placement. It's always such a complicated thing when placement is with a family member that might not really be a family member. So I would just ask as soon as that gets done to just let me know. But I mean, otherwise the placement seems appropriate.
Okay, thank you. That is a good point about child's name. Ms. Villarreal, have you looked at the birth certificate, or Ms. Criswell, can you verify what the name is on the birth certificate?
We do not have a copy of the birth certificate, Your Honor, but my client said that they did list the child's last name on the birth certificate as Garcia.
Okay. Well, Ms. Trevino and Ms. Criswell, at final hearing, if need be, please raise the issue of Zayden's last name, so that gets covered at final hearing if it is necessary. All right. I am finding that Zayden's placement with his kin, Garcia's, is appropriate and safe and stable and meeting his needs. I am continuing the department as temporary managing conservator, finding that the child cannot yet be returned to a parent's care. We will have another permanency review hearing August 1st, 2023 at 1:15. The final hearing, which I'm setting now, is September 25th.
Anna Horde, attorney for the department.
At 9
Lori
a.m.
Smith, supervisor.
Lindsay Schroed, permanency specialist.
Ms. Long.
Haley Long, attorney for respondent mother Brianna Garrett. I am present. My client is also present in the virtual courtroom.
Ms. Merle.
Jennifer Merle, attorney for Chris Garza, father. We are both present and ready.
Ms. Criswell.
Randy Criswell, attorney and guardian ad litem for the child. I'm present and ready.
And Ms. Frischman, you want to go ahead and state your name for my record?
Valerie Frischman, placement for Luna.
Thank you. So Luna is 7 months old and doing very well, both health-wise and development. She is just doing everything that she should at this age. There were no concerns noted about her. Ms. Schroed, is that still the case? She's in good health and all normal?
Yes, she's an extremely happy little baby. I love going and seeing her. She makes me in such a good mood. But yeah, she's meeting all of her milestones and she's doing really well. She's eating food now too, starting some baby food. So she's doing good.
Thank you. Ms. Frischman, is there anything that Luna needs that you feel like she needs to have brought over to her by St. Francis, or you got everything set up for her?
Yep, she is perfect. She's doing great and we're doing great with her.
Okay, very good. Then Ms. Schroed, tell me about Ms. Guerra's, actually, this is number 2 of our permanency review hearing. So I'm going to do kind of an abbreviated summary. Ms. Guerra continues to test negative in the last report and is working on her plan of service consistently. The main reason I think I set this hearing again was to find out about paternity establishment issues and allowing Ms. Merle There was a technical issue, I think, but had not been able to visit with Mr. Garza. So, Ms. Long, is there anything about your client and her services before I go to paternity?
Just that my client has completed all of her services. She's been discharged from individual counseling with Mr. Gatlin, and she was referred to couples counseling with Mr. Garza, but they are not going to be pursuing a relationship at this time. And so they had one couples counseling session, I think, in April, and then they're scheduled to have another one, I think maybe next week. But I did speak with Ms. Smith about that yesterday, about, her maybe reaching out to Gatlin to see if that's something where it can be just switched to kind of have like a closing visit with, just my client to talk about, how to cope with co-parenting and setting boundaries and, doing all of those things. But other than that, she's completed all of her services and continues to take even more parenting classes and even more NA and AA classes. So I did talk to Ms. Smith about increasing her visits and having her visits moved to her home. So currently she's receiving 2 hours on, I think, Monday and 2 hours on Thursday. My client has all day Monday and Thursday off of work. So Ms. Smith said that, they'd be in agreement to try to get her 4 hours on Monday and 4 hours on Thursday, and to have those moved into her home to help start transitioning Luna back to, that kind of environment. And then hopefully monitor that for a month or so, talk to Ms. entering into a monitored return. So my client's doing very well, really proud of her. And you just want to make sure that all of that is followed up on.
That's good. We need to know all of that. And Ms. Smith, is there anything based on what Ms. Long said, anything that St. Francis disagrees with in that plan?
No, we've had some concerns with her and Mr. Garza's relationship. It's kind of been back and forth. And so I believe that is why couples counseling was recommended. But now Ms. Guerra is reporting that they are no longer a couple. And so we will visit with Mr. Gatlin about how he wants to proceed with that.
All right. And then Ms. Merle, tell me if y'all are ready for an establishment order. The genetic testing results indicated that Mr. Garza could not be excluded as biological father.
Yes, we have no issue with establishing paternity. There's no objection to that this time.
All right. And child's last name is already a hyphenated last name. Looks like that's covered as well. All right. Child support and medical support would need to be set. I will make an order establishing that Mr. Garza is the biological father of this child based on the results of genetic testing in this case, but he cannot be excluded. Is your client working, Ms. Merle? I believe he has recently been released from incarceration.
Yeah, he was recently released, Your Honor. I'm not actually sure about his employment status at this time. I will say that there is a possibility that he will be looking into, I believe, a treatment facility or something like that, in which case we would ask that support be deferred for that period of time, if that's possible.
Okay. Certainly, I want to encourage inpatient care. If that's necessary, I want to have that done. Is it okay if I address your client directly, Ms. Merle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Garza, do you bring like diapers or wipes or any support to the visits when you go?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have a diaper bag or a backpack I use as a diaper bag. I have diapers, wipes, hair utensils. I try to brush her hair, keep her looking pretty, I believe.
Okay. I will defer child support till the next hearing, which will be in August. In the meantime, I would like you, sir, I know you have to take care of your own self as well. So if you are not in inpatient treatment, I'd like you to bring supplies to leave with Luna at each visit, such as a package of her size diapers, or if she's eating table food, some of her favorite table foods, and just some groceries for her so you can assist placement and cover your support obligation that way over the next few months, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I've been taking a little bit of clothes, and I do take things to feed her. Whenever I do visit, I do feed her. We just recently found out she doesn't like turkey, so I mean, I do
Don't
take
bring
things,
that.
food. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. She's like her dad. She likes sweets. So, I mean,
Okay.
I do bring things. I will make it a point to bring more items. I just didn't know what the limit was, or I mean, I didn't know how much, what was okay or not enough was okay. I mean, I have talked to Monica. She supervises our visits, and she says just bring whatever you think is necessary. I'll bring, like I said, I'll bring her outfit or whatever, like a little bit of food. But I mean, if I could have a set limit, I mean, I'll be more than happy because I have been working. I've been working at Prater's for the last month and a half.
Okay. We'll try to spend $25 on stuff that you can leave with Luna each visit. If you are in treatment, if you've checked into rehab and you're in treatment, then I'm not expecting you to leave treatment to show up at the visit and make sure you deliver that stuff. But if you are out and visiting, take about $25 worth of stuff with you each time, and we will defer support till August.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Criswell.
Judge, I filed my statement in compliance and report to the court. Luna is doing very well, and she is probably the happiest baby I've ever met. She's always smiling. And placement dropped out, and I was there yesterday, and she did tell me she has another foster child in her home.
Okay.
And their hearings were set virtually at the same time, so she was going to try and go back and forth. She has told me that both parents bring things to the visits for Luna. They sometimes bring her clothes. They bring different baby foods and things for her to try. And so placement's been very pleased with that. I'm very happy with mom's progress, and I'm happy to see that the visits are stepping up to be unsupervised and for longer periods of time.
Okay. And no, I don't always get my Hockley County filings. If you'll double check, make sure I'm on there with either of my email addresses. I should be there, but I'm not. Sometimes I don't get anything.
I will double check, Judge.
Thank you. Okay, well, I will approve Luna's placement with the Frischmans, finding that it's safe and stable and meeting her needs. I'm very pleased with both parents' participation so far. Mr. Garza considering rehab, Ms. Guerra really getting to the point where she's got everything lined up and completed and testing negative. That's excellent. So although I cannot return Luna to a parent yet, I hope that we're not too far off from that. I'm going to set the review hearing for August 1st at 1:15. That's by Zoom. The final hearing is August 28th at 9. That's in person. Review hearing before final. And the parties identify themselves for the record, starting with the department.
Nina Horde, attorney for the department.
Lori Smith, supervisor.
Lindsay Schroed, permanency specialist.
It's Criswell.
Wendy Criswell, attorney for respondent mother, Amy Ramos. My client continues to be incarcerated, Your Honor.
Ms. Merle.
Jennifer Merle, attorney for Mr. Ramos' father.
He's incarcerated as well.
Yes, Your Honor. Sorry, yes.
Ms. Trevino.
Liza Trevino, appointed to an unknown father.
And Ms. Ricker.
Anna Ricker ad litem, and present on the phone with me is Barbara Dickerson. Barbara,
leave it.
Who is going to be representing the Torres family.
All right. And they are present in the virtual courtroom. Okay. So Miracle is almost 11 months old. In October, she moved to the Torres' home in Post with her half-sibling. ECI continues to provide therapies, occupational therapy. At the time of the report, she was still at 3 times a month and PT at 1 time a month. Healthy, comfortable child, settled in. Mr. and Ms. Torres, how many times does she do an ECI? Is that still current?
Yes, ma'am, that is still current, but we have added a speech therapist that is going to start coming 3 times a month as well.
Do you have any concerns, or I guess Ms. Dickerson is here for you, but if you want to add any concerns about her care or things you need, I bet Ms. Dickerson will let you speak for yourself.
Yes, ma'am. No, I don't think we need anything. I think she's doing really good now that physical therapy is coming in. You know, she's getting more mobile. She is talking more. She's eating better. She's really doing good. She's doing a lot better now that we got ECI going again.
Okay. Very good.
She also did get her little glasses.
Oh,
so she can see now.
And she leaves them on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she does.
Because now she can see. She don't want to take them off because she can see.
Yes,
that's what I hear. Oh, wow. I guess she's not in the room, huh?
She actually is behind us over there playing.
Oh, well, if she comes by, clear out so we can see her. I'd love to see her little baby.
Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, on to the serious stuff of the day. Tell me, Ms. Schroed, about parents' participation in services. I understand everyone is incarcerated.
Yes, the only thing that Ms. Ramos is able to complete right now are parenting packets, and we have sent the request for paternity testing on Jose Ramos. Ms. Ramos is still not reporting that that she knows of any other possible father for Miracle. So, oh, and I did want to add that the Torreses did get licensed now, so they are licensed.
And any, Mr. Ramos's paternity test is not scheduled yet. It is ordered, but not scheduled.
Yes, I haven't received a date for that yet.
Okay. All right. Let me go to you, Ms. Criswell. Anything for your client?
No, Judge, I don't have anything to add for my client. We're working on setting up a settlement conference to see if we can reach an agreement in this case.
Well, I don't think she could be in a better placement. I'll tell you that. The family's fantastic. I don't even have to hardly ask for an update. They send me pictures and give me updates as they're happening. I'm really tickled pink with the ECI intervention and next level. We've talked about maybe going to see the pediatrician and see what other help we might could get, not necessarily just through ECI, but maybe directly through a provider. So that's kind of next level of what the family's looking at. And I would request that we have an informal settlement conference. I feel like we can get something set up with the mom and Miss Criswell, because she's got some communication with that. I don't know about, dad's status is so unknown. So
my client assures me that it is an impossibility for Mr. Ramos to be the biological father of this child, and she does not know who the biological father is. So I think that paternity testing will exclude him.
Because he was already incarcerated.
That's correct. And they've been separated for a very long time, years and years.
Okay.
And Judge, I just sent an email to all the parties with a list of dates over the next 2 weeks. Hopefully we can find a date that works. If not, I'll send out more dates. I did include Joan with Barbara Dickerson's office, so hopefully we can get her in too.
Okay, that sounds good. Ms. Ricker, anything else?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, well, I will approve Miracle's placement with the Torres family, finding it safe and stable and meeting her needs. We will have a permanency review hearing August 1st at 2. Let's see. I need to get y'all the final hearing dates.
June 6th at 9.
June 6th. Okay, so permanency review falls after dismissal date at this point, but June 6th. Okay.
Yep, here she is, everybody. Yeah, look, right over here. Say hi.
Hey, Miracle, we're all gonna wave at you. I love your glasses. They look so nice.
She's like, let me get a hold of something.
Yeah, but it is like the glasses have become a part of her. She's not bothered by them.
No, she's doing really good with them. When she gets mad, she rips them off. But other than that, she leaves them.
Yeah.
She does really good.
She just wants to stare into your face. That's all.
She has said a word. It wasn't Kelly's first choice of words, but it might have been Johnny's.
Oh, was it something like Dada?
Oh, yeah. She says Dada frequently. Huh.
Well, all the mothers out there, we have to say that's just baby language. They don't even know what they're saying.
I know. Yeah.
I'm sure they do know what they're saying. All right. Well, very good. Bye, Miracle.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Say bye-bye. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you want.
No, she just wants to stare at me.
Yeah, she does.
Anna
We
Horace
are
for the
adjourned.
permit.
Okay.
Lori
thank you.
Smith, supervisor.
Megan Villarreal, permanency specialist.
And Ms. Ricker.
Anna Ricker, attorney ad litem, and I show that CASA has been subbed in for guardian.
Here they are. It's Ms. Roberts.
Yes, Katie Roberts, CASA, and we do have an advocate who just got assigned yesterday, Deborah Price. I'm not sure if she's in the waiting room, Judge.
She is. And Ms. Price is here too, advocate. And Ms. Moreno, will you try now to state your name and your connection to the case?
I'm Julian Moreno. I'm the boy's aunt, great aunt.
Yes, and placement.
And placement.
All right, so let's talk about Drake first. Drake is in, well, no, I'm gonna talk about them together. Drake is in 3rd grade and he's now 10, and Zachary is in 2nd grade. I didn't write that down, but I'm thinking he's in 2nd.
Yes,
All right, and he's now 9. And by court order, they are both placed with their relatives in Dallas County as of February 25th. They're healthy. Drake has medication for hyperactivity, anxiety, and sleep, and those were reviewed at least March 8th, if not in April. Zachary has 1 medication for sleep and 1 for hyperactivity. Those were reviewed the same date. Severe behaviors were an issue prior to their move, although they remained at basic level. So, Ms. Villarreal, tell me how the adjustment has gone, how the boys are settling in. Let's talk about that a little bit more in terms of behavior, especially.
They're doing really well. I know they still have some behaviors, but Miss Moreno and Mr. Moreno are doing a really good job of redirecting them with their behaviors. I FaceTime with them each month, and they are doing absolutely amazing. They are happy. They are healthy. They're doing better in school. We have the next ARD meeting on May 15th. They're doing really well.
Okay.
Proud of them. Very proud of them.
Yes, yes. Ms. Moreno, tell me about, like, when you're redirecting and having to deal, are you dealing with basic 9 and 10-year-old problems or some adjustment problems and other types of things?
Well, first I want to start with family outings. I have not seen any of the behaviors that I've read in their files. There's no biting, fighting, or anything like that. They play normally. They, we've been invited to like 15s to parties and stuff, and they're doing great. They love that they're meeting their cousins, and their family members. They're just amazed at how many family members that they have. They didn't know that they had so many. So they're really, excited about that, and here at the house, I don't have any of the tantrums that I have read on there, like throwing themselves on the floor, or they argue over toys, and they fight over if one of them wants to play, one of them's playing with one of the other's toy, they'll like, well, give me that, that's mine. I didn't say you could play with it. And I tell them to respect each other's things. And if they still fight or argue over the toy, I take it away. And, they have still arguments, or if they still fight, I'll send them to their room, and I'll be monitoring them, like I don't give them like a lot of time out, like 15 to 30 minutes. And if I see that they're doing that, but I don't have them like lay down. I have them sit on their bed and think about, what they're doing, that they shouldn't fight over their toys, and they should respect if they know that the toy belongs to his brother, he needs to ask for his stuff or anything here. Also, that when they first got here, they would just walk into the room, and I told them that they can't be doing that. They have to knock. If they have their door closed, that means they're either getting dressed or they're, or doing, something personal. So we have to knock on each other's door, especially my girls' door, because, they could be, I explained to them that they could be getting dressed, they can lock their doors, but sometimes, they'll forget or we'll forget. And I'll be laying on my bed and I'll be like, and they won't knock, but now that if that's been, now they knock, things like that, that they're really good. I mean, they eat a lot. They're growing boys, so they like their snacks. I went to the dentist yesterday, and Zach, I thought they had seen some cavities in between his teeth, but the specialist saw them and he didn't. So now he's flossing. I bought them the little floss. So every night before they go to sleep, they brush it, simple things like that, that I monitor when they're here, and my son's here as well. He gives them, he talks to them. He'll also pick them up from school, and the teachers there, they have gave good compliments on how he gives them how would I say it, suggestions and about their, they've been, I feel like they're really good kids and I love them. I mean, a lot of y'all have talked about the 3-month period, but I feel like, my heart is, I'm in love with the boys. So That's just it, you know, and they get all of our attention. They own this house now. So yeah, so
Well, so many kids don't have the ability to connect and to bond with their family when they've been through the trauma and the separation that these kids have been, but that they were able to express their desire to be with family and then family find them is exceptional. So I'm so glad they're doing very well.
And at school, you know, I think that the school that I have them in, they're a great school. They actually, I've had them call me up here on my phone once because Drake was banging his head against the wall because I feel like he doesn't know how to, when he first got here, he doesn't know how to express himself or his feelings. So not only one, but several of the staff members got involved, and now he's asking to go speak to the counselor when he feels any type of emotion. And I feel so, and I tell him, I'm so proud of you, you know, that you're not expressing by hitting other people or anything, because, you know, that's not tolerated. And, you know, and I tell them here too, when they're actually physically fighting with each other, I mean, I get a hold of them, you know, and I tell them, nobody, it's not tolerated here in this house. You don't see nobody fighting. We don't do that here. Because none of us, you know, we don't fight, you know, we don't physically, we talk about things. You have to let me know. He'll whine and he'll make faces, but we're like, I don't understand the faces. I need for you to communicate with me. Tell me what's going on. I understand with words. You need to let me know, you know, what you're feeling or what's going on. So that's where I am with them. I mean, they still have, you know, their kids, so they're still, and I know they've been through a lot. So I put that into consideration as well. But I feel like with a lot of love and understanding and, you know, giving them, you know, words of encouragement and, you know, not only that, but letting them know that some of the things that they do are not, that are wrong, you know, just speaking to them, you know, letting them know, you know, how to correct it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Ms. Rickard, do you want to add anything?
I would just like to compliment the whole Moreno family. I'm aware of all the appointments, of all the calls they take, not just on behalf of the boys, but all of us calling. And Julia answers that phone every time. This is a great placement, and I'm really pleased, Your Honor. But the Moreno family in particular should be complimented for how much of themselves they're giving.
Yes. Yeah. And I added more people to call them because when CASA became available for Hockley County, I said, oh, I have 2 young men that need a CASA. So, Ms. Price, do you want to add anything at this point, or do you want to just keep getting to know the case and getting to know the family?
I'm not sure if she's able to unmute herself, Judge, but I'll talk on behalf of Deborah.
Okay.
Yes, we are just still making contacts and looking forward to talking with all of you about Drake and Zachary. So at this time, CASA has no updates, but we look forward to getting to know the kids and all of you.
Excellent. So permanency plan for the kids, I don't want to rush because they've just been in Dallas since end of February. But Ms. Villarreal, tell me what the permanency plan is for the kids at this point.
We are looking at an ARIF for Mrs. Moreno for a validation that she had prior several years ago. I have reached out to follow up about that, and I have not heard anything back. I hope I'm contacting the right person. It was in Dallas County, but I have also reached out to the kinship worker to make sure that I get that the right contact information. If that is overturned, if that validation is overturned, we will look at adoption. If it's not overturned, we will look at PMC.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we will have another review hearing, and that will be in October, and I'll find out then where we are in that process. In the meantime, I'm going to approve the placement. It's great for the kids and safe and stable and meeting their needs. The review hearing will be October the 3rd, 2023 at 1:30. And if there's nothing else, we are adjourned.